Hi, I'm Dan Herbert. I'm the president of Sheraton Real Estate Management, and today we want to show you a video to give you some ideas to help you maximize your security deposit refund. And with me today is Ryan, and he's going to take you on the tour. I think we're ready to go.
Okay,
let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the living room and the dining room area, and what I usually recommend is that residents start at the ground and work their way up. Let's start with the carpet. Now, in looking at the carpet, the first thing to remember is that all Sheraton properties per your lease agreement must be professionally cleaned. So what we have you do is actually get a company to come out and clean it. Do not rent something from the grocery store. And looking at this stain, it might look that it's hopeless. However, we want you to know that most stains will come out with professional carpet cleaning. Okay, now we're going to look at the baseboards. One thing that I tell everybody to do is take an actual cloth and wipe these down, and you can see that just by running my fingers across them, they're actually quite dusty and dirty. Next going up would be the electrical outlets. So in looking at this, what you want to do is make sure that you've wiped it down and that there also are not any cracks or that it's not broken. Next up would be the window seals and tracks and blinds. And so what we're looking for here is you can see that these have not been wiped down, and if you look closely into the window tracks, you'll see that there is some dust and some bugs. In looking at the blinds, we're looking to see that they've been wiped down and that they're clean, and that, like this one, there is no dents or that they're not bent. And then also what you might want to do is go ahead and run your fingers across the top, and you'll see quite a bit of dust. The next spot that we're going to look at are all of the walls, and what we're looking for on the walls would be any sort of spots or grime that might be on the wall. So if we look here, we can see quite a bit of something, and if you actually touch it, it's actually a little bit sticky. So what we would want to do here would be to go ahead and make sure that we use a cleaner and wipe this up. Next up would be anything that is on the ceiling, and here we're going to look at the ceiling fan. So start with the fixture, and if you look, you can actually see some bugs and crusty stuff in here. So what I would recommend would be to take this off and either wash it by hand, or you can run them all through the dishwasher. Then we're also going to look at the ceiling fan blades, and if I run my fingers across here, you can see quite a bit of dust. Another commonly missed item that is high up would be the vents. So what we want to look for here is just run our fingers across it and make sure that there is no dirt or debris on here. So a simple cleaner and a wet towel would take care of that. Now, before in the living room, we actually started on the ground and worked our way up. In the kitchen, we're going to flip that and we will start high and work low. The reason for that is because as you clean, stuff will fall down. So let's start with the cupboards here. What I would do is go ahead and get on a step stool or ladder and just run your hands across the top here, and you can see that there is some dust that would need to be wiped down. Also up high would be the fixtures. So what you want to make sure and do, it would be to pull down the actual fixture and go ahead and wipe that out or wash it in the sink. After looking at the tops of the cupboards, what I would do is go ahead and open them and make sure you open every single one, including all of the drawers, and look for any items. So if we open here, we see that we have some taco seasoning and a phone book. Then what you want to do is go ahead and actually take your hand and wipe stuff down, and you can see that it's actually quite dirty. So get a towel and make sure you wipe. Just like in the living room, we are now going to move on to the sockets, and what you want to do, same thing, just make sure you wipe them down and that they're not broken or cracked. Okay, now we are going to take a look at all of the countertops. So what you want to make sure that you do is just get a cleaner and a towel and scrub them down. Then in the kitchen sink, what you want to make sure is that you get these areas around the faucet and around the overflow drain, and you scrub all of that out very thoroughly. Now we're going to move on to the drawers and lower cupboards, and what you want to do is just make sure that you open them and that you wipe them out completely so that there aren't any sort of crumbs. And if we open this drawer, we'll actually see that it's not really on track. So that can easily be fixed by just pulling it out and putting it back in. And then open the lower cupboards, make sure that you go ahead and get the entire area wiped out. Okay, now we're going to move on to the appliances. And at first look at the microwave, it actually looks fairly clean. However, if you run your fingers across the top here, it's actually very sticky and there's a lot of grease. So you want to make sure that you scrub that down the front and then open it up and actually get inside and lift out the tray and get that as well. Okay, now we're going to move on to the stovetop. So what you want to make sure that you do is go ahead and scrub it down pretty thoroughly. If you do choose to replace the drip pans, make sure that you get the correct size so that they fit properly. And if you do have the stovetop that lifts up, you want to make sure that you get under that area as well. Now we're going to move on to the oven and broiler or storage area. So first what you want to do is make sure that you wipe down the entire front of it. Then open the oven and you'll see that this one's actually quite dirty. So you're going to want to have to thoroughly scrub out this stuff. After that, what I would do is go ahead and open, in this case, the storage area. Make sure, again, that you get the tops here and that you do wipe this out completely. Now we're going to move on to the refrigerator. So what I would start with is wiping down the tops and the sides and the front, including the handles. Then if we open our freezer, what I would do is go ahead and wipe out the inside first, making sure to not forget the shelves and the bars here. And then a key area that is usually forgotten is the seals. So what you want to do is pull this down a little with your fingers and make sure that you do get any food that is accumulated in that area. Now the inside of the refrigerator. So go ahead and open it up. Make sure that you scrub out all of the insides. One key area that is missed would be underneath the drawer. So I would pull them all out, including the shelf, and make sure again that you run those through the dishwasher or wash them by hand and wipe out the bottoms. And then just like the freezer, one area that we're going to want to do would be the seals again. So just pull that open and wipe it out. Now we're going to move on to the dishwasher. And the famous Sheraton quote around here is that just because it cleans does not mean that it's clean itself. So start with the outside and wipe down, including to get this area and the top. Then once you open it, same thing. You want to go ahead and look in the bottom and make sure that there's no food, debris, or in this case, spoons, and get that. Lastly, in the kitchen would be the floors, and we want to go ahead and just make sure that we get a cleaner and scrub the floors pretty thoroughly, paying close attention to areas close to carpets, under cupboards, and near the appliances. We've now moved on to the hallway, and this area is fairly simple. I would start with the baseboard areas, making sure that you wipe those down, moving your way up, so you want to include any fixtures that are on the walls, electrical outlets and whatnot. Then go ahead and move up to the ceiling where we have the fixtures and make sure to just run those through the dishwasher or wipe them out. Another item that's found in most of the hallway areas would be the heating and air conditioning vents. So you just want to make sure that you actually wipe this down so that there's no dirt or debris like this one. When looking at walls, you can see a bad patch job just like this. We do want to point out that your lease does preclude you from making any wall repairs. So if you do have any holes, please leave that behind for us to take care of. Okay, I would also like to point out the nail holes in that per your lease, we do not charge for what's considered to be a normal amount of nail holes. If you do have questions regarding what is normal, speak with your resident manager. The closet areas, if you do have mirrors like these, you want to make sure that you wipe them down, and if you don't have mirrors, you actually still want to wipe those down as well. If we open the doors, starting with the shelf, you'll want to make sure that you actually get all of the items behind so that there's nothing, no personal items. Make sure that you wipe it down, and then the walls and the baseboards, just wipe those down as well. Just like the kitchen, I recommend that you start high and work your way low. So if we look here in the ceiling, we will see the fan. So you just want to make sure that you actually wipe that down thoroughly. We will start by wiping down the tops of the light fixtures so that there is no dust, including the light bulbs, and replacing any if they are burnt out. Then move on to the mirror area, making sure that we clean it with Windex and not leaving any streak marks. Moving down to the sink area so that we clean this out, including around the fixtures, and then just scrubbing down the countertops. You also want to make sure that while you are wiping things down, you do get the door hardware, so just get a towel and wipe around it, including the doorknob itself. Okay, now we're going to look at the toilet. So what I would do is start by wiping down the toilet tank lid, moving your way down, and then if you open up the lid, you're going to want to clean and make sure that you don't leave an actual ring in the toilet. Then what you can do is go ahead and move all the way down and make sure that you get the dirt that has accumulated towards the base of the toilet. In the shower area, I would start from the top and work our way down, so making sure that you actually clean this area, and you can see it's fairly dusty. Then wiping down the shower head and moving your way down. Okay, the tub spout and handle areas do usually get a lot of water stains, so you want to make sure and scrub those thoroughly using the appropriate water stain remover cleaners. I also recommend getting a bleach pen for the caulking areas and the splash guard areas. Just put it on and let it sit for a little bit. It helps out great. Then make sure to just scrub the entire tub very thoroughly, not missing any areas. We're now going to move on to the floor area. So what I would do is get a cleaner and make sure you wipe the baseboards and mop the floor very thoroughly. We've now gone through the entire home, including giving you some cleaning and maintenance tips. What we would like to leave you with is to remember to leave the home in the same condition that you would like to move into. Thank you.